shoppers in need of a family vehicle might find themselves in a bit of a weird position. Three-row crossovers can be a bit too big, and compact crossovers can feel a bit too small. Fortunately, there are a few smartly designed and spacious two-row vehicles, just like this Subaru Outback over here. Now, I've bought two of these in the past, and I find them to be pretty good at just about everything. But if you're looking at one in 2024, there are a couple of things you should be aware of. Let's take a closer look, and I'll show you what I mean. This is a 2024 Subaru Outback Onyx. Now that model name might seem like it's inspired by a hip-hop band, geology, or your favorite Pokemon, but in reality it just describes the blacked out bits that are all over the vehicle. For example, you'll see the blacked out wheels, the blacked out antenna, the blacked out mirror cap, and the blacked out badges in the back. For $43,000, that seems like a bit much, but it's one of the more distinct looking vehicles in the lineup, save for the really rugged looking wilderness model. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Subaru Outback, there are a couple of gimmicks that you should be aware of. For example, it has 220 millimeters of ground clearance, which when combined with the standard all-wheel drive means that it should be able to tackle just about any off-road conditions. Okay, sure, it's not going to go rock crawling or dune bashing, but it should be able to handle deep snow conditions as well as whatever treacherous cottage country road that you've been driving down. In addition to that, there's also these roof rails with integrated crossbars. Every single Subaru Outback has this. Now what that means is when you need to tie something down to the vehicle in a pinch, you can just flip these over, tie it down, and get on with your day. If you need help accessing that, there's a little step here in the door sill. You just hop on over, and now you can access everything pretty easily, so long as you're not afraid of heights. Pop the power liftgate and you're greeted with over 900 liters of cargo space. And there's some handy features back here, including levers to fold down the rear seats, and my personal favorite, some place to store the cargo cover when you're not needing it. 900 liters is the perfect amount of space. Especially for me as a new dad, I find that you can fit a baby stroller as well as your groceries in whatever stupid purchase I made while sleep deprived. If you need more space, however, just fold down the rear seats and you'll have 2,141 liters of cargo space to play with. If you're the outdoorsy camping type, you can also fit a double sleeping bag back there and a sleeping pad. So you can go and have a decent night of sleep while you're out on the trail. Inside, you can tell the Onyx Edition apart from other models with this green stitching that's found in select locations. Now, maybe I'm not as cool as I used to be, but I don't find this to be a very stylish addition to the vehicle. It kind of looks like an eyesore. In addition to that, Subaru calls this seating material all-weather soft touch, which is to say it's not leather, it's not cloth, it feels kind of plasticky, and maybe it's easy to clean? I don't know. It doesn't feel that great. A few things to point out in this Onyx Edition is that it doesn't have memory seats and it doesn't have passenger power adjustable seats. Now, with those complaints out of the way, I will say that there's plenty of space in here for myself, and I can probably sit behind myself with no problems. In addition to that, I mentioned that this is a family-friendly vehicle, and you can put a rear-facing car seat behind the passenger seat without having to impact that passenger seat's legroom. Now, I'm not going to get too in the weeds about this infotainment system, as it's pretty much identical to all of the other 11.6-inch units found in other Subarus. Now, this trim doesn't have built-in navigation, but it has support for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and those functions can work wirelessly as well. If you're worried about your device's battery, however, this vehicle comes with a wireless charging pad as well as USB-C ports. Now on the road, the Outback feels pretty good. It's neither too stiff or too wobbly and is surprisingly responsive in terms of braking and steering input. But I do have a serious problem with this powertrain. Under the hood is a 2.5-liter Boxer 4-cylinder engine with 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. Now that's paired with a CVT, and honestly, this combination is really underwhelming. How underwhelming? Let me just punch it from a stop sign. Now you just hear all of this noise and none of the go, and I really think the engine just feels overworked and underpowered altogether. And as a result, that really has some negative impacts. For example, you're gonna get way worse fuel economy, especially in the city, and you've got this awful noise every time you wanna get going anywhere. For my money, I would say opt for the 260 horsepower turbocharged version of the car. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but you're definitely going to be more satisfied with how that vehicle drives. Now, if you really want to, there are some paddle shifters on this model which allow you to change how loud the transmission makes the engine. Seriously, leave these paddle shifters alone. It doesn't make a difference. This powertrain, I mean, it could use all the help it can get, but this ain't it. Additionally, one thing to know about this Onyx edition is that it has a dual mode X mode feature. Now, X mode is this fancy thing that lets you tackle off-road conditions with ease. All of the other Subaru Outbacks have a single mode X mode version, except for the wilderness model and this that allows you to tackle deep conditions. How deep? Yeah, I don't know, but it should make you feel a little bit more confident out there. Now, if you need to go towing, you better bring your scale. The naturally aspirated version of this engine can only haul 2,700 pounds, while the turbocharged versions can do 3,500 pounds. Safety is a major selling point for all of these family-friendly vehicles, and the Subaru Outback has managed to score a top Safety Pick Plus rating from the IIHS. That's the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. It scored that even after being introduced to the updated side and front overlap testing, which is pretty sweet. Now, all of these vehicles come with the EyeSight suite of safety gear, which means it has adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking, lane keeping, and lane departure warning. This model also has blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. Higher trim versions of this vehicle come with something called driver focus, which is a driver monitoring camera which can tell whether or not you're looking out of the windshield. It's very important to ensure that you're not driving distracted. However, many people turn this off because it's a bit nagging with all of the beeps. In fact, Subarus in general just are very liberal with how much they beep, either with seatbelt chimes or lane departure warnings, or even when you have adaptive cruise control, it beeps when it tells you that there's a car in front of you. I know that there's a car in front of you. I'm looking at it. One more complaint I have with this vehicle is more like a wish list. I kind of wish that this had more parking sensors. Sure, you get a rear view camera with guidelines, and there's some rear parking sensors as well, but I'd love to see something like a 360-degree camera or a front camera. You see, there is a front camera, but it's only found on the top trim models. I just want to see more of this stuff. I want parking perfection. With a starting price of under $40,000, the Subaru Outback is pretty good. But the best bargain seems to be the limited model, which starts at around $45,000. Personally though, I wouldn't consider any vehicle that doesn't have the turbocharged engine, and those are closer to 47 grand. Another option in this class includes the Volkswagen Atlas Crossport, which has a bit more room behind the rear seats and more power in the base engine, but costs at least $50,000. For a do-it-all crossover with room to spare, the Subaru Outback hits the mark so long as you get the right trim. For Driving.ca, I'm Sammy Hajjasad.